Hello everybody, this is All Sport ABP. Of course, we can talk about the Bangladesh versus India SAFF Under-20 Championships final, which was nothing short of a chess game. Had an emotional roller coaster ride for both sets of supporters, and in the end it was Bangladesh who won it with the last kick. And the tournament kicked off for Bangladesh with a Ronan Sullivan screamer from the free kick against Pakistan, and it ended with Ronan Sullivan scoring that decisive penalty that gave Bangladesh yet another SAFF trophy. But of course, the match, before it even began, we were talking about who the favorites were. It was India, they were the informed team. It looked like they had the more firepower in terms of how they would construct attacks and how they would create problems for the opposition half. But when the match started, we actually saw a clear distinction between the stylistic approach from both teams, which is why I actually mentioned that it was a chess game overall. The Indian side, they looked to build from the back, play a fluent brand of football on the ground, through their midfield, use the wings and the width, and of course try and score those goals. But on the other hand, it was Bangladesh who were abrasive. They were really solid and narrow in defense, did not defend on a low block. Of course, Bangladesh went with a 4-4-2 blockade whenever they did not have the ball, and they were successful in allowing the Indians wide spaces but not allowing them to make those incisive runs through the middle. The center backs for Bangladesh were really good. The fullbacks really helped them out as well by pressing high up. The midfield and the forward line had a lot of energy as well off the ball. So if you look at overall how the match panned out, Bangladesh actually created the more important chances, the more clear-cut chances, even in the first half, although the ball possession was much with the Indian side. And if you look at how the game moved on from there on, actually I felt that both teams at one point of time decided probably there was not going to be a goal coming within the stipulated 90 minutes and we might have to go to penalties, where India actually hold an upper hand against Bangladesh. Just track back to 2025, where the SAFF Under-19 championships were being held, and over there it was a similar situation. It was a stalemate within 90 minutes and India and Bangladesh went into the tiebreakers, into the penalties, and almost the same players who played the Under-19 championship last year were representing their teams in the Under-20 level this year as well. So it was almost a straight-off battle. I mean, everyone knew everyone. The goalkeeper from Bangladesh, Mahin, he knew what Mohammad Abrash was supposed to do. He knew what Rohan was supposed to do. Only Umang Dodum was the new, inclusion in this Indian team, if you talk about that. So ultimately, what happened during the penalties, I think India did something which they could have avoided, which is bring in their substitute to take the first kick. And he looked nervous from the get-go, and just look at the penalty that he took. It wasn't a good penalty at all. It was, of course, a very good save from the Bangladesh keeper Mahin, who ultimately became one of the heroes for Bangladesh winning their trophy. But the Indian team, when they chose their 5 penalty kick takers, I think that's where they got something wrong, and they should have given someone like a Mohammad Abrash the first attempt at scoring the first goal, because the first one is very important, and then you try to create that psychological pressure onto the opponents. It becomes a game of nerves. So what happened was India missed their first, and then Bangladesh went on to score a couple more, and the 4th penalty that Bangladesh took, Raksham actually missed it. He actually hit it over the top. And then there was an opening for India to come back into the game. Let me tell you, the goalkeeper from India, Mr. Singh, he's the captain, and of course I think he was injured for a better part of the game, and he was complaining. But during the middle of the penalties, that delay that happened due to treatment of his injury before Samuel Raksham took the 4th penalty for Bangladesh, actually probably helped India in a way that Raksham had to wait for long. He was getting definitely nervous. We saw him passing the ball along with his goalkeeper just to keep him off and keep him focused. But in the end, still he could not hit the goal. He actually hit the bar, and the ball came back, and India got an opportunity to come back into the match. But what happened then was really tragic, I would say. For an Indian perspective, it was really tragic. The player of the tournament, the most valuable player of the tournament, the highest goal scorer of the tournament, Umang Dodum, he was one of the most impressive players in this tournament alongside Ronan Sullivan probably, and he came in to take the 5th penalty for India, which could have kept them in the game, and he blasted it over the net. that was a real shocker. I mean, you expect Dodum to actually score those goals because he has been one of the form players for India. And that's where I think the difference was created between Bangladesh and India. That's how narrow the margins were between two very, very competitive sides. Dodum missed his, and in came Ronan Sullivan for the final penalty, and what a statement penalty that was. Took a Panenka, confidence supreme, wins the team the trophy, wins the team the match, shirts off, celebrations ongoing, and it was sad to see, the Indian contingent really dejected, down and out. Of course, they knew they came that close to winning yet another SAFF championship. This rivalry has actually been a very, very interesting one over the years, especially in football, Bangladesh and India. Whenever they play, be it men's, be it women's, be it age level, be it SAFF, in any form, they always produce some very, very dramatic, exciting matches. And we've seen one such in the match the other day. If you talk about tactics, I think India, they are following a process. The reason being, they want these players to graduate to the senior level at a level where they can compete with the best of the best. So here, ultimately, trophies and success might not be the biggest parameter when you think about it. So overall, for players like Ryan, for players like Dodum, for players like Abrash, who's coming forward, for the goalkeeper, the captain, I think this is a very, very good learning curve. And if you play with the right process, at some point, sustainable success is just around the corner. But if you just, try and think of winning trophy by trophy or go tournament by tournament, that's a process that might get you trophies initially, but is not sustainable when the leadership core moves away, when the thought process changes. For example, if Ronan Sullivan, who actually was the hero for Bangladesh in the final and overall in the tournament, when he started to feel left out after the presentation ceremony, he was not being given the trophy to even just go and take it. So there was some sort of a rift between the outsiders and the local players, even within the Bangladesh team. So that was a bit odd to see. So if those things happen, if the origin players that are coming to play for Bangladesh and helping them get success do not want to come back, then what's going to happen? That is a big question that the Bangladesh football need to answer at the moment. And on the other hand, I think India, if they follow the process that they have, they've got a very, very good domestic structure. They've got a very good age level structure of how they want to groom players and bring them up from different states and, form a team that can, develop players and help them progress to the next level. That could give them a more sustainable success later on. The trophy wasn't in their hands this time, but probably next time they'll come out as favorites again, and then probably, if they don't make those silly mistakes, they might get the trophy as well. But for now, it's Bangladesh's time to celebrate. It's Ronan Sullivan's time to celebrate. And for Umang Dodum, it was a hard learning experience. I really feel bad for that guy. He was really, really good. I mean, I really see a big future in him for Indian football going ahead. Do smash the like button, subscribe to All Sport ABP English, and of course, put your comments down on what you felt regarding the match. And do you feel that this will hurt these players, these Indian players, but of course will help them move forward for a more sustainable success procedure? While for Bangladesh, I think, yes, they've got the trophy, but there are papers over cracks which they actually need to cover up as well and need to find out how to resolve those things in order to also continue on the way of success that they're having at the moment. See you in the next video. Take care, everyone.